What's going on, everybody? Tim from Tirafon Orbital. This is going to be a very special video in that I'm recording, at the time of recording, the client has not yet seen both the hilt or the install of the hilt. One of the caveats to this particular commission install was that the client did not want to see any pictures of the hilt or the chassis or like any progress pics or anything like that. So the client really wanted to be surprised. I believe they are going to film an unboxing video and like a reaction video. So it's been hard to not show off the final install because this is not only a very unique lightsaber, but the install is a little special as well, the chassis. So I haven't shown anyone except for the sabersmith, who's Nevin from Space Junk Sabers, and myself. So nobody else has seen the chassis yet. So at the time of this video, the client will have already unboxed and taken a look at it. So I do want to share the install with everybody else at this time. And also this will serve as a demo for the client as well. Right? So this is another custom one-off hilt from Nevin at Space Junk Sabers. This is a speeder related, a speeder bike variant hilt. It is based on the speeder bike hilt from Jeremy at the Saber Merchant. However, you know, in typical Space Junk style, Nevin has made some body modifications and some other really cool touches to the hilt. So I do want to talk about it. Here it is. This thing is really cool. And so we're going to go over the chassis first, and then I will go over how to use the hilt. We'll talk about a little bit of the body modifications that are in the hilt, and then we'll do a demo and we'll be on our way, right? So we're going to talk about the chassis first. Here we are in Fusion. This is the chassis that I designed for this hilt. This is a custom one-off chassis. I went crazy with the greebly work on this chassis. So one of the prerequisites or requests from the client before they even started working with Nevin was that they wanted shine through all over the place, not only on the chassis, but on the hilt itself. So on the chassis, of course, I have 3 windows for NeoPixel shine through. So there are 2 channels on each side of the chassis, and I put 2020 NeoPixel strips embedded in the chassis itself. And along the top here, I've got Caution and Arabesh embossed, and underneath this is another 2020 NeoPixel strip. Now the way I achieve that look is I build and design channels inside of the chassis itself. I print the chassis in translucent resin, then I will tape off the windows and do a pass with matte black Tamiya spray. And then on this particular chassis as well, I did do a pass with buff and rub just to give it the greeblies a little, make the greeblies pop a little bit, right? So we've got room for the Profi board. It sits in this tray. It does not press fit, but it slides into this little channel here, and it's kind of hugs in place. If you do need to get at your board, you can just slide it out and work on it if need be. Around the back side, here is our battery tray and a kill switch. And that's pretty much it. There's room for a 28mm speaker as well. And this is a static chassis, so I make my my wires come out the top here. There it is a 2-button setup, so I do have one of the aux button is a plunger style aux, and I've got an onboard tactile switch that sits in the chassis here. Around back in this particular build, and I'll talk about this now, there is a toggle switch. So I didn't need to make room for that at the top of the chassis in this nipple area. So that's why you see this slit here. So yeah, very detailed chassis, plenty of room for NeoPixels. And why don't we talk about it right now, right? So here it is. This is the special speeder scrap done by Nevin at Space Junk Sabers. This thing is chonky. It looks so good. I'm not particularly sure if Nevin did this paint scheme or not on it, but it just looks so good to me, right? So let's talk about this grip. Okay, so you may or may not notice. This is, so this grip has slits cut out along the radius of the grip. So this, what that allows for is shine through on all of those NeoPixels on the chassis. I've never seen this on a Karan build. I've never seen this on a regular build, honestly. And this is something that is a complete custom from Nevin. I mean, this thing is it's not very easy to get cuts in a grip like that all equal. I mean, obviously you need a bandsaw to do something like that, but yeah, that's cool. But yeah, really rad. So here is the chassis, and I will go ahead, well, we'll put a battery in it in a minute, but here's the chassis. I did do a pass with buff and rub, as I said. I feel like when you have a lot of greebly work, doing some buff and rub will make a lot of those extra details on the chassis pop, right? We've got a toggle switch up top here. Now this toggle switch Nevin shipped with the hilt. It is a two-way toggle, right? So what I ended up doing was wiring this switch with two leads, obviously. One is your ground and one is your main switch leg, but I split the switch leg so that it goes to both the up and down action of this switch. So that'll simulate, like when you're turning the hilt on, you can press up and turn it on. To turn it off, you can press down and turn it on. Either way will activate that main switch. But I thought that'd be a cool idea to do that. It's a 3-pole switch, essentially, right? And around back, this is the plunger aux that I was talking about. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of stuff that Nevin does on his builds, just to utilize found objects. This is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, this looks like a plunger activation switch for a Graflex flash gun. Now what the old school flash guns had, or not just the flash guns, but the actual Speed Graflex camera housings had a cord with a plunger switch that you would press to activate the shutter. That's what this looks like to me. I don't know if for sure that's what that is, but that's what it looks like. And Nevin repurposed it as a switch, right? Really cool. And again, like coming up to the top, we've got all kinds of like really unique found object parts. All of the steel has been heat stained, and Nevin did also include a custom blade plug with this as well. Okay, so let's talk about how to use this guy. You want to take your battery. Flat part of your battery is the negative side. The spring in this case is your negative. So you want to put the battery in, negative side towards the spring. Hit your kill switch.
Don't touch my stuff. Is this a lightsaber? No, it's not a lightsaber.
So I put a bunch of requested fonts from the client on this. They've all been added to the config. So I want to turn this on before I put the grip on. So there are those onboard NeoPixels all over this guy. Okay, and obviously that's going to give us some really cool shine through when that grip is on.
Just a simple wand.
All right, so let's leave it on a speeder font right on. So once you get your battery in, okay, you take your grip, slide it in. Now the clearance is super tight with that speaker, so just be aware of that. Screw the grip in all the way till it stops, and you're ready to go. All right, so let's come down. So there she is. I've never seen a grip like that. Definitely one of a kind. Yeah, as though all of Space Junk's hilts are not all one of a kind, but this is just something that I've never seen before.
You're in fire.
There you go. So the client did request some, obviously speeder bike fonts to be put on this. Each font, God, it looks so rad. Sorry. So each, you can tell, like, it doesn't take a lot for me. I'm like a golden retriever. Like blinky lights just really just distract me. So the config is written so that the chassis LEDs or the chassis NeoPixels are one blade, and you've got a secondary or primary blade up here that's your main. And that's all in the config. All Speeder Bike fonts are loaded on this with the exception of some other requested fonts that the client asked for. And this is what I was talking about, having that a three-way a switch. So you can press it up to activate and press it down to deactivate if you want, or it works either way, right? So let's put a blade in it. Yeah, also I want to talk about this. This blade plug is a really, really nice blade plug too. So here's the blade plug. This is a full custom by Nevin. I think I recognize some of these parts. They're likely from a flash gun bulb housing. I'm not sure, but again, like this is the kind of detail. Like there's a brass mesh underneath this. This is the kind of detail that you get from a handmade hilt, right? So blade plug is rad. You want to take your blade plug out to put your blade in. There is a knurled thumb screw here. I found that using the thumb screw alone, you still get a little bit of play with the blade. So there is So there's also a set screw, a brass set screw right here, just to make sure the blade is nice and secure. So set your blade down on those pins, tighten that thumb screw, and then tighten that set screw here. Okay. And then you're ready to go.
What is it? Father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
So to activate your clash, you want to hold down aux or to activate your lockup rather, you want to hold down aux while you clash. Twist to activate, twist to deactivate is on. To scroll through your fonts, you want to hit your aux while the hilt is off.
The NASA team is ready.
I'm never touching that thing again.
Yeah, just an awesome unique hilt.
The Adam Project.
So I think that's it before I get carried away with a hilt that's not mine, because I've been known to do that. So really, absolute pleasure to be a part of this surprise project for the client. To the client, thank you very much for trusting me with this install. I'm always a fan of Karan builds and Speeder Bike builds, and obviously I'm a fan of Nevin's work. So it was a pleasure doing this build. Thanks everyone for watching. To the client, again, thank you for trusting me with this build. If anyone has any questions about my chassis design process or any questions about the hilt itself or the install, please don't be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Thanks for watching, everybody.